Hello and welcome to the video. Today I wanted to discuss with you animal communication and how can we measure microbe intelligence. In this case, when I say intelligence, I do not mean consciousness. I mean ability to solve problems in their environment and react to different situations. For example, on one side of the scale of intelligence, you have apes, corvids, and coyotes that seemingly are approaching what we would consider consciousness. But then on the other end, you have creatures like squirrels that can still overcome situations. A squirrel has to collect enough food to make it through the winter to survive. And in some way it knows this, whether this is a learned behavior or an inherent instinct. It can accomplish this feat, and the majority of squirrels do accomplish this feat every single year. But I don't think anybody would say a squirrel is a very intelligent organism. It's just doing what its instincts tell it to do, or at least that's the way that we would phrase it. Now this brings me to microbes, which do show some signs that they know what's going on in their environment. They're not completely unaware of what's around them. I recently made a short showing some planaria torpedoing through groups of smaller microbes, and what I found was strange was there was microbes all over the slide, but the planaria seemed to focus on a small section of the glass area where, one, they were most dense. So how did they know they were most dense in this specific area? If you've personally ever used a microscope and seen rotifers, then you're probably aware of their general group dynamics. They tend to stay in these large groups where the adults and the smaller ones stick together and filter feed all at once, creating somewhat of a current on the slide that you look at. A question that I have often asked is this coordinated? Are they doing this intentionally, or do they all happen to be hungry at the same time? Or when they sense there is a current, it's just inherent in themselves that they want to increase the strength of that current or take advantage of it? I'm not sure. Of course, the majority of people, including myself, do not view microbes on an equal plane as people. They are much smaller and, from our science and our research, less developed. So how could they possibly have intelligence equivalent to a much larger animal like a squirrel, like a raccoon? How could they possibly have this ability? I don't know. I'm somebody who generally likes to go off of facts, but the facts throughout history have shown that whenever we think we are much better than an animal, than a gorilla, than anything else, they prove us wrong slowly, or at least when we don't think that they are as capable as they are. There was a very interesting book I read recently about animal intelligence, and what it was really detailing was how scientists once thought that a lot of animals were less intelligent than they are, or than we currently believe they are, because when they were administering tests, they were measuring them in weird ways. They were showing monkeys and apes pictures of humans to see if they could determine the differences between faces, instead of showing those same monkeys and apes the faces of different primates. So today, if we subject a microbe to a test that involves chemistry or some item that we drop on the slide, how could we possibly quantify their intelligence through that when that is not their perspective? Their perspective is completely different. We have to improve our observation methods first so that we can see them the way that they see each other, from the front, from the side, not from above. That makes no sense at all. We have to observe them in their environment completely. A big problem that I have with the microscope, and I'm working towards right now, is that I don't actually see how microbes interact in their environment. I don't get to see their group dynamics in the wild. I see them on the slide, which in my head is basically them at their most stressed out moments, where they can't move and they can't really live the way they want to live. I think that once we're able to observe them in the proper way, that's the only time that we should start doing these tests, or taking these tests that we make seriously. Because the difference between a hydra in a tank and a hydra on a slide is so monstrously different. I rarely ever see a hydra on a slide attempt to eat food. It just ignores it. But when you put them in a tank, they're constantly hunting, and you can see it with your eye. If you like my microscope content, then feel free to subscribe. I'm currently working on a much larger instructional video to help with people either trying to learn about the microcosmos or to study for school. So, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.